Hey there, CINEMASTER fans! Hope you're ready for some movie magic. Let's dive right in. The Cell movie begins at Boston International Airport. Cartoonist Clay is trying to call his family, whom he had to leave behind to pursue his artistic dream. But now that his story is going to be published, he came to Boston to see them again. His phone runs out of battery and all the outlets are being used, so Clay has to use the payphone to call his ex-wife. Suddenly, most people with cell phones at the airport start to writhe and moan in pain, still holding their phones. A shrill noise echoes in their heads, and soon they start foaming at the mouth and mysteriously turn into zombies, attacking the few unaffected people. With violence and chaos taking over the airport, Clay sees a zombie attacking a woman and hits it to save her. There's a guy feeding on a dog and another falling from the second floor. There's a teenage girl who wants to call the police, but as soon as she picks up the phone, she starts to transform too. This girl crashes into the wall and seems to enjoy it. A restaurant cook uses his knife to attack people, and Clay defends himself. When chaos erupts, your first reaction is what defines your survival. Clay's attitude of defending himself and saving someone else is a good initial move. Instead of freezing, he reacts to the immediate threat. The lesson for you is, at the first sign of social collapse, don't hesitate. Use whatever is around as a weapon and fight to create space. Passivity at this moment is a death sentence. After kicking the zombie, some guards finally show up and start shooting at these so-called zombies. Clay thinks only people talking on cell phones are turning, so the guards shouldn't use theirs to call for reinforcements, and things keep getting worse as the guards shoot at whoever appears in front of them. Clay tries to hide among the airport seats and two planes collide in the air outside, causing a huge explosion. Clay manages to run in time and takes the escalator to get to the subway, but two zombies come after him and jump, making him fall onto a pile of writhing zombies. Suddenly, a worker comes out of the train and almost kills Clay, but another stops him, pointing out that Clay isn't a zombie. Both drag Clay into the train with the other survivors, and he warns them about the phones, but they explain that they can't get signals inside the tunnels. The train conductor, Tom, says the power's been cut, so the train isn't running. Clay's instinct to flee to an underground location like the subway was smart, as it took him out of direct line of sight and the main chaos. Tom also made the right move by saving Clay, recognizing an uninfected person and increasing the group's strength. If you're ever in a situation like this, alliances are crucial. Increasing the number of thinking survivors is always the best strategy. Clay's information about cell phones, exchanged for the safety of the train, was a valuable trade, so they'll have to walk through the tunnels to escape. Most survivors are afraid to wander around alone, so Tom and Clay leave with Mike. They walk for a while until they see light coming from the exit, where some people are standing. The group wonders if they're zombies or humans, but a zombie comes out of hiding and immediately kills Mike. Clay attacks the zombie and pushes it away, but the noise draws the attention of zombies near the exit, who come after them. Then Tom finds the stairs, and he and Clay start climbing toward a manhole, kicking zombies trying to grab their legs. A zombie almost manages to follow them, but working together to push it down, they close the manhole and escape. They decide to go to Clay's house, where they find the door destroyed and neighbors dead in the hallways. When they get to Clay's apartment, Tom notices Clay's strange art on the walls. The landline isn't working, so Clay borrows Tom's phone to warn his family, but the response comes back all distorted. The decision to leave through the tunnels was a necessary risk, and Clay and Tom's teamwork to escape through the manhole was exemplary. However, the best move here was Tom's with his practical knowledge, putting the cell phone in the freezer to make the battery last longer. In a world where technology has failed, little survival tips like this are extremely valuable. For you, sometimes unusual and practical knowledge can be more important than brute force. Tom tells him to put the phone in the freezer to make the battery last longer. Later that night, the duo are drinking when they suddenly hear someone knocking on the door. Clay carefully opens it to find Alice, the upstairs neighbor. She has a knife in her hand, is covered in blood and looks a bit desperate, but she's not a zombie, so they let her in. Clearly frightened, Alice asks them to close the curtains to avoid being seen and explains that she had to kill her mother and is traumatized because of it. Clay tells her to take a shower and lends her some clean clothes from his ex-wife, which she left in the apartment. Then Clay announces that he will leave to find his family, explaining that he thinks they might be okay because his wife was still speaking normally when the attack happened, and his son only sends messages. Both Tom and Alice agree to go with him, but first they rest for a few hours. The group's decision to take Alice in, but especially to rest before leaving, is an excellent survival tactic. They were right not to act on impulse. Going out at night in a hostile and unknown environment would be a fatal mistake. If you are in a safe place, take the opportunity to rest, eat, and plan your route. Traveling during the day is always the safest option, as it allows for better visibility and assessment of dangers. While Alice sleeps, Tom says that this is probably a terrorist attack. Tom's phone suddenly rings in the freezer, and after a quick look, they decide to cancel the call and leave it alone. The next morning, they look out the window and realize there are hundreds of zombies on the streets. After grabbing some objects they can use as weapons, the trio leaves the apartment and immediately sees a crowd of zombies nearby. At that moment, a couple passes by on a motorcycle and the zombies go after them. Thus the trio takes the chance to escape. As they cross the suburbs, they see a house with signs that the owners have weapons. They decide to break in and see no one, until they find a pile of bodies in the basement. The trio takes the opportunity to gather all the weapons they can find, and there they notice a boy petting a dog in the backyard. They go to check, but as soon as they talk to him, the boy turns and growls, as he is a zombie. They shoot him immediately, and a bunch of zombies appear from the woods behind the house and start running toward them. The trio opens fire and flees, but the bullets are not enough to stop the zombies. The trio keeps running through the woods, and some zombies fall, but even with a broken leg, they still keep moving. The trio tries to shoot them again, but more zombies keep appearing. Then the group runs to the lake and hides under a boat. Tom's realization that the zombies communicate is a game changer. His deduction was a crucial success. From the moment the boy saw them, their location was shared with the horde. The lesson for you is, your enemy may be smarter and more organized than they seem. If one of them sees you, assume they all know where you are. Stealth and avoiding eye contact become your main survival tools. When the zombies reach the lake, they look at the sunset, open their mouths to emit a shrill and horrible noise, which sounds like a phone signal. Then, as soon as the signal ends, they simply walk away. The trio concludes that the zombies are programmed to stop at sunset. Tom wonders how the zombies knew where they were so quickly, and realizes they learned their location when the boy saw the trio, which means they share a collective mind. Then the group continues traveling for an entire day. When night falls, they hear music and follow it until they find a university building, where they are greeted by the student Jordan and the principal Charles, who are happy to see survivors. They say they'll be fine as long as the music plays and show what they mean, taking the trio to the sports field, where all the zombies are lying together while the music comes out of the phones and their mouths simultaneously. Charles proves they are not awake by squeezing a zombie's leg and points out that these creatures function as an interconnected collective mind, even calling it the next stage of human evolution. He says they need to kill them all before they wake up, as this crowd is extremely dangerous. Charles's plan to burn the horde of sleeping zombies is a proactive and bold strategy. Instead of just running away, he decides to eliminate a massive threat while it is vulnerable. It's a high-risk move, but tactically smart. If you discover a weak point or a moment of inactivity in your enemy, that is your best window of opportunity for a decisive attack. Passivity leads to death. Action, even dangerous, can lead to victory, so Charles suggests pouring gasoline and burning them while they are still asleep. Tom and Clay get into a truck and start spraying gasoline all over the field. As soon as they run out of fuel, Charles sets them on fire with a flaming arrow and the group watches the zombies burn. But some start to wake up, so they have to shoot the creatures. At that moment, the flames follow a trail of gasoline to the truck and make it explode, killing Charles in the process. Jordan has a breakdown, and Clay needs to comfort him, feeling a strange sensation coming from the burned bodies. The group decides to leave the university. After a while, they find an empty drive-in to hide during the day. Tom prays for the future of this group, and they go to sleep. But Clay hears a strange noise coming from the bathroom. When he goes to check, he is shocked to find the man in the red hoodie with his ex-wife. At that moment, Clay wakes up and realizes it was a nightmare. But when he talks to the others, they discover they all dream about the same guy. And it's very strange, because the Night Traveler is a character from Clay's comics. The shared dream is vital information that changes the nature of the threat. It is not just a physical apocalypse, but also a psychological one, with a possible leader or central entity. Your survival tactics need to adapt. Now, besides fighting zombies, you need to understand and combat this psychic influence. The threat is not just outside. It may be trying to enter your mind while you sleep. When night falls, the group goes out and finds a pile of burned cell phones nearby. Suddenly, Tom and Alice's phones ring, but they just throw them onto the pile. After walking for a few hours, they find a roadside bar with some graffiti that says Kachuwake no Fo, which means no phones. The group enters the bar and finds more survivors, who explain that they are heading to Kachuake, a state park in Maine, where supposedly there is no cell service. While everyone shares a drink, Tom asks Clay how his comic book ends, but Clay never managed to finish it. Sometime later, while everyone is sleeping, Sally is awakened by a strange noise. She goes to the door and, curious, puts her ear to it to listen to a sound similar to a signal. Clay also wakes up and sees Sally just stop there. As he approaches her, he does not notice, but the other survivors are standing behind him, and one of them attacks Clay. Somehow, Sally and the others have become zombies, and now chaos spreads in the bar. Clay gets rid of the zombie by shooting him, and Tom also opens fire when the other zombies grab the bartender. Then Sally starts screaming directly in his ear to transform him, revealing that hearing the noise from another zombie is also enough to become one. The bartender attacks Clay while he shoots him. While another zombie jumps on Tom, Alice quickly saves him with gunshots, and Sally uses a bat and knocks her down. Tom immediately kills Sally, who was the last zombie still standing. The discovery that the infection can be transmitted by sound is a devastating change in the rules of the game. From this point on, silence and distance become as important as light. Alice was brilliant in saving Tom quickly, showing that, in close combat, quick reflexes are essential. If you were there, the lesson would be, when fighting an enemy, always assume it has an attack method you don't know yet. The group rushes to cover the bleeding Alice with blankets. They take her outside so she can see the sunlight one last time. Alice does not survive and ends up dying. After burying their friend, Tom, Clay, and Jordan continue traveling, unaware that a man in red is watching them from afar. A few hours later, they find a camp with Ray and Denise, who confirm they are zombie killers. They have already tried Kashoke, but discovered that the phone-free zone is a lie. The park used to be like that, but when they built a casino in the area last year, they also installed a huge cell tower. Ray and Denise have also had dreams about the man in the red hood, and Ray believes that killing him will defeat all the other zombies. Ray and Denise's information that Kashoke is a trap is one of the most important moments of intelligence in the movie. They made the right move by investigating the rumor instead of following it blindly. For you, the lesson is fundamental. In an apocalypse, do not trust rumors of safe havens. Always verify the information yourself if possible. False hopes are one of the deadliest traps out there and can lead you straight into danger. The pair also reveal that they captured Denise's zombified brother and use him as an alarm. Usually he stays quiet, but when he starts to get agitated, when other zombies approach, they leave the area. At that moment, the brother starts to move and repeat a phrase, "You are coming home," but he was using Clay's son's voice. When Clay removes the hood from his face, the zombie says, "Hi, Dad," in the boy's voice, so Tom shoots him in the head to avoid attracting the others. Then everyone escapes in Ray's ice cream truck. A few moments later, Ray stops the truck and goes into the forest. Clay follows him and hears Ray saying that he is seeing a man in red everywhere, refusing to believe it could be a hallucination. Deciding that it is too late for him, Ray announces that he gives up and throws a cell phone to Clay, explaining that when the time comes, he should call the number on the paper. He tells Clay to move away and activates a device, ending his pain. Ray's zombie alarm system is a brilliant, though macabre, tactic. He used the enemy's nature to his advantage, creating an early warning system. If you capture an enemy, think about how you can use it to gain a tactical advantage. Tom's decision to eliminate the alarm zombie when it started using Clay's son's voice was also correct, as he neutralized a powerful psychological warfare weapon that was being used against the group. The group arrives at Clay's house. When he looks inside, he sees that no one is there, but finds a message on the fridge left by his son, explaining that the mother became a zombie, so he went to Kachueke. Frustrated, Clay kicks some furniture and checks the attic, where he opens the door and is attacked by the man in red. Clay fights the zombie and barely manages to defend himself, but then Tom arrives and drags the creature away and the zombie starts attacking Tom instead. Clay uses the chance to hit the zombie with a piece of wood. Then Tom joins him and shoots the zombie until it is finally dead. When the zombie's hood falls off, Clay is devastated to realize that it is not the man in red, but his ex-wife whom he has just killed. Clay starts considering using Ray's phone, and Tom checks the truck, which is loaded with explosives, meaning the number on the paper activates them. Clay decides to go to Kachueke, even though it is very dangerous, because he wants to find his son. So he gives the car keys to Tom, Denise, and Jordan so they can head to Canada. He also gives Jordan a can of paint, asking him to paint the group's initials on the roadside every few kilometers, so he can find them later. Clay's decision to go to Kachweki alone, while at the same time giving the others an escape route and a way to reunite, is the mark of a true leader. He made the right move. He takes on the most dangerous mission, but ensures the rest of the group has a chance to survive. After saying goodbye to his friends, Clay leaves in the truck and does not stop, not even when survivors ask for help on the side of the road. Eventually, he reaches the Kachweki cell tower and is shocked to see thousands of zombies marching in circles around it. Clay drives through them with the truck and reaches the center of the circle, finding the man in the red hood. Without hesitation, Clay accelerates, hits him with the truck, and shoots him until he runs out of bullets. Suddenly, Clay hears his son's voice echoing in the area, calling for him to come home. Desperate, Clay joins the crowd and starts knocking down zombies, but it is impossible to find his son among so many bodies. He falls and is almost trampled, so he has to crawl out. Giving up, Clay grabs Ray's phone and prepares to activate the explosives. But at that moment, his son appears right in front of him. Clay immediately hugs him, but his son does not react. And now all the zombies, including the man in the red hood, are opening their mouths to make the signal-like sound. His son joins them. Then Clay hugs him again, and finally triggers the bombs, causing a huge explosion that brings down the tower and all the zombies. Clay's final sacrifice is the only possible move. Realizing that his son was already part of the collective mind, and that there was no way to save him, he made the most difficult tactical decision of all: destroy the source of the signal. He understood that the mission was no longer to rescue his son, but to end the threat so that others, like Tom and Jordan, could have a chance. It was the ultimate victory, achieved through total sacrifice. Sometime later, Clay and his son are walking toward Canada, following the markings left by Jordan. However, this turns out to be a hallucination, and the real Clay is actually another zombie in the horde, marching around the tower, and it was all just a dream, because no one escaped the zombie attack. And with the revelation that it was all in vain, the connection becomes deadly for everyone. If you liked the video, subscribe to the channel and activate the notification button so you never miss an updates. See you in the next video.